What's up, guys? Cole Parker back here again, and we got good news and bad news today. We'll start with the bad news first. This is my bleeder line for my transmission in the car, and as you'll see, maybe you can see it back there, we got the car up on the lift, which is always a good thing because we're working on it, but transmission is out of it. That's not a good thing. What happened was, the good news, we got a drive shaft. And that was great. That was great. We decided that we'd put it all together and we'd put some trans fluid in there and we'd bleed the clutch. When we started to bleed the clutch, we noticed that it was crushed. And so, of course, it was leaking. And on these T56 transmissions, they have the internal slave cylinder, and that just means you have to pull the transmission to replace a bleeder line, which was awesome, but it's no big deal. Did it in a day real quick. I mean, it took 20 minutes with the lift, maybe 30, and got parts on the way. That's the next thing. As always, we got parts on the way. I think the worst part of this is waiting on parts from the postman. He takes absolutely forever. Waiting on my fuel cell, my fuel line, this hose now. My fuel hose came from somewhere in Virginia 5 hours away, and it's been a week. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, it ought to be here by now, but I don't know why it's not. The fuel cell will be here sometime, and then we'll put that in, and that's really the last of it. But the drive shaft went up, it bolted in great, it fits great, it looks good, and it'll do the job. I figured this was a good time to show you the Sicky relocation master cylinder for this car. It comes with that adapter kit and then the bleeder line and the braided clutch line. So we'll check that out real quick, and we'll see what the backside of the engine looks like, the clutch and the bell housing still bolted on. So we'll get a quick look at it and see how it looks from underneath. So here's this transmission, and you'll see that that's where that bleeder hose goes onto, and this is the actual clutch line right there. It goes up to the master cylinder. This is one of those internal slave cylinders on the T56 that we were talking about a minute ago. This is the hose that I'm talking about goes from it's a quick bleeder, so you can bleed it. The hose hangs down right here with a bleeder on it, so you can just bleed it from out. It makes it really easy. But if you crush the hose, it's not so easy. You can see how it was pretty easy to unbolt with the lift. We just undid the trans mount and let it droop down a bit and hit all those bolts real quick. So that's it. We finally got the oil filter mounted up. It's got oil in it. The motor's got oil in it. Everything's good. It doesn't leak or anything like that. Just this transmission clutch line and the bleeder line. It's great. But it's just another day in life, so we'll get it handled. I'm going to drop the car down real quick and show you the Willwood's master cylinder and the Sicky kit. Coming over to the master cylinder, we reused the old reservoir, and you can barely see the master cylinder down in there. I'm trying to get some light on it. That's it right there. It bolts to the factory spot with an adapter. It's quite a pain to get in there, but it's not too bad. Anyways, that's it right there, and it's got a hose that runs up to the reservoir. Yeah, it's kind of annoying to get in there, but once you get it in there, you should be good. It bolts directly to the stock clutch pedal as well, so that's no big deal. And then you just bleed it. But if you have a leak in your line, it's not going to bleed very well. So the car looks pretty good otherwise. Just got a few things to tidy up. Really just waiting on some the fuel parts, which have everything except the cell and the hose, so that's annoying. But it's coming along, and we'll be done soon enough. No worries about that. I just want to show you how that speed bleeder hose works. You just bolt the hose on right there, and it comes down to a bleeder valve right here, and it just makes it a lot easier to bleed it out. Like, you have a lot more room. I have the old bleeder that came with this slave cylinder, and this is supposedly how you're supposed to do it. Just use a socket right there, and this was it. But this speed bleeder makes it a lot easier, and it just came with the kit, is why I got it. Came with the Sicky master cylinder kit, but it does make it easier. I'll give it that. So I just wanted to show you that real quick so you understood what I was talking about. So that's about it for today. We got nothing done. We're just waiting on parts as always. It seems to always be the issue with me, is waiting on parts. This build has become known as the never-ending project due to the fact of USPS. That's who I blame it on. But anyway, so once we get those hoses in, the fuel hose and the clutch line, we'll just slap it right back in. And we got the drive shaft, which is a huge plus. So that's good. That was one of the biggest things we were waiting on. And so all we got to do now is wait for the parts and put it back together. And in theory, it should run. I don't know what's taking the fuel parts so long to get here. I got the pump and the line and the rails, but I'm waiting on the lines and the fuel cell, which is annoying. But it just seems like it's definitely never ending. So we'll get it all handled real quick and wait a couple days, get some parts in, get it all thrown together, and we might have a running car. You never know. But that's about it for the day. Be sure to check out the other videos on the build, and there's more to come for sure. So thanks, and we'll see you later. You know what sucks? Waiting on parts. That sucks.